Yo, what is up, everybody? John from Tau Tactics here, bringing you another video. Today we're going to be talking about some of the drastic changes to unit efficiency within the Tau range. Since the changes that were made in the balanced data slate, there are some key units that I think made the biggest changes out of all of them. So I want to chat through what those are and how to leverage them moving forward. But before we hop into that, want to give a shout out to our giveaway winner, Bennett Kid. I already reached out and connected with Bennett. Bennett, your combat patrol is getting sent out tomorrow. I'll shoot you your tracking information then. For those who don't know about Secondhand Geek, they are sponsoring the channel and are a huge supporter of ours. So please do me a favor, check out the referral link down below to sign up for Secondhand Geek. Check out the tile stuff that they have on the site. I know you guys all play different armies as well, so check out what they've got there. They're an awesome resource for mini wargamers like me and you. They also have other stuff like terrain and whatnot, so definitely give them a shot. Check them out. All of their GW products that are listed on their website are 15% off, so great discount for folks who are looking to buy a new army or also just sell down your backlog. Sweet. So first unit that I want to talk about is the Ghost Keel Battlesuit. So one thing I wanted to call out here is I noticed David Gaylord on the Fireside podcast mention and showcase a cool little strategy that he had, which is he placed 3 ballistic dreadnoughts on his natural expansion as a little shooting castle, as opposed to having them on different flanks, just pew-pewing and taking one-on-one gunfights. Now, I think that this strategy could be really well suited for 3 Ghost Keels on your natural expansion with access to something like extra OC from Strategic Conqueror, let's say, for example. Now, Ghost Keels are much better suited for a shooting specific meta, which we aren't in right now, but just something to call out as an area. If you're in a shooting heavy meta, I would heavily suggest trying out triple Ghost Kill in Mont'ka with the Strategic Conqueror, putting 12 OC on your natural and asking your opponent nicely if they'd like to come play the game with you. Now, the reason I'm calling out the Ghost Kill specifically is because typically he was one of the last damage dealers to get a guide, so either he was getting just a marker light guide, definitely not a stealth suit guide, or was honestly guiding other units when you started losing those marker light guides. So as you can see here, just an example is a Rhino. Typically, being strength 8, you're only doing 3 damage with a 5% chance to kill a Rhino. Now, with a stealth suit guide, with the new guiding mechanics, you're much more likely to have a stealth suit guide for a Ghost Keel as opposed to previously not, so they can contribute a decent amount of damage to the fight. So here you see that there's essentially a double in efficiency, now doing 5 damage to a Rhino chassis and a 10% chance to kill. And then, I honestly could have chosen a better target because, for example, into like a 5-man JPI unit, his efficiency is going through the roof because he's now wounding on 2s, rerolling 1s, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. So just an example of a unit that would probably not likely get a stealth suit guide that now is going to. Next, I want to talk about the Enforcer Commander. So again, when we think about efficiency in this particular meta, right now we're in an MSU elite meta. The commander gives us a really good option here to be super efficient with our target priority and target allocation and how we apply damage. So in this specific case, I've kitted out the Enforcer Commander, could be a Cold Star Commander, with 3 missile pods, so 6 shots at 712, and then 1 cyclic ion blaster, so 3 shots at 822 when it's in hazardous, and then 2 gun drones. So in this previous example, he's split firing. He's within a fire knife unit. Let's say he's shooting at a 5-man JPI unit with full rerolls to hit, but he's hitting on 4s because he's taking the modifier to his ballistic skill to be -1 ballistic skill and not getting the benefit of being guided. He's only killing 2 on average within that unit with a 3% chance to wipe the squad. Now you can see this is a drastic difference to getting a stealth suit guide into that same JPI unit, getting 4 dead on average with a 44% chance to kill. Now this is with like no other buffs active, so not sustained within Kalyan, not lethal from Mont'ka, not extra AP from Aux Cadre. So you can see that once you start layering some of these buffs, now you're actually guaranteed to kill, a 5-man JPI unit, or while the rest of the unit is splitting off into a different unit entirely. So I think commanders and crisis suits in the right detachment is the reason I kind of am looking at Red Cat a lot right now, is because I think that it has a place in the MSU Elite meta to help us be more efficient into multiple different types of targets and elite units in particular. Next but not least, the Razor Shark Strike Fighter. So I think the Razor Shark Strike Fighter got a huge glow up here. The reason being, if you haven't seen my previous video, the strategy with the Razor Shark Strike Fighter is you would run two of them. What you do is you bring both of them off of a board edge, off of strategic reserves. You'd have Shadow Sun within a 6-inch aura of both of them, so they both get reroll once to hit, but one would have to guide the other, typically. Because you wouldn't be able to line up two guides, maybe Shadow Sun guides for one of them, so one of them will be hitting on 2s, rerolling ones to hit, and the other one will be hitting on 3s, rerolling ones to hit. Now, if you're able to get a stealth suit guide, you can get both of them shooting at full efficiency, which in my opinion is a huge deal. Reason being is they both have 2 seeker missiles each, so now those shots are both getting reroll ones to hit and reroll ones to wound, and they're hitting on 2s on the front end, most likely. So a huge increase in efficiency here. As you can see, this is into a Land Raider. Previously, they're only doing 8 damage, given that previous guiding scenario where one's getting guided by the other with the Shadow Sun rerolls with only a 10% chance to kill the unit. Now, with the Stealth Suit Guide, they're on average killing that Land Raider with a 51% chance to kill. And then, in my preferred detachment for them, Auxiliary Cadre with access to extra AP, or Mont'ka with access to extra AP with a strat, you're actually taking the Land Raider out on average 80% of the time. So this is also, to note here, within MathHammer, which is the calculator that I use to calculate this damage output, it's difficult to split out profiles, so I wasn't able to put twin linked on the 8 ion cannon shots. So in both of these examples, this unit is actually, punching up a significant amount, upwards of 90-95% chance to take out that Land Raider with the 2 activations. Also, just want to say one other thing on the Razor Shark is just getting +2 strength and being able to take out things like transports. I think it fills a really important role for Tau right now, and in Auxiliary Cadre specifically. Disclaimer here that I haven't tested it out, but previously it was really strong, and I think that going into this meta that we are currently in, I think it's going to be a really strong pick for killing things like T-Sun's Rhinos that are giving out +1 to hit, or excuse me, +1 to wound from units that disembark from transports, or Death Guard Rhinos with Plague Marines inside. So I think that this is going to be a competitive pick moving forward. I highly suggest testing it out and seeing how it feels. Next, this is one thing I saw Kyle Grundy talk about recently in his video, which I think is a really great idea. I've also talked to another high-level Tau player, Noah, who is probably the top Mont'ka player in the world. Something that he's testing out is the solo broadside. So why is the solo broadside a good choice in my opinion? Why did it get much more efficient? Because now the way that guiding works now we can bet on ourselves to swing up. Like, let's say that a solo broadside, we have 3 of them on the table, 2 on each flank, 1 ready to pop out in the middle. First of all, you're much more you have a greater ability to stage these broadsides effectively. I find myself there are a couple maps like layout 2 for example where you can put 2 broadsides next to each other and they can step directly into a rune and both can activate. But a lot of the GW maps, it's difficult to find a spot where you're not using assault for example to get the second broadside the angle. So this way you're only popping out the one broadside. There are much more spots for one broadside to pop out and hit an angle than there are 2 in my opinion. And also, now if you do swing up with the first broadside, as long as you're pointing your other broadsides at different targets, they can at least adjust their firing and put it into a different target if you do swing up. You hit a couple dev wounds, the seeker missile gets through, so really efficient damage application from that perspective. Also just a minor thing, but also screening, like this can replace your units that were hanging on the edge of the table screening for your backfield. Now these guys can do it on the edge of the table for you. And then last but not least is mitigating incoming damage, right? So just like now we're able with solo broadsides to efficiently apply damage, use as many as we need to take out a specific target. Now let's say if a Rep-X is shooting into our broadsides with that d6 plus 4 damage, they get both wounds through, and they roll a 4 up on damage, and a 4 up on damage again, they kill 2 broadsides. Now it's a little bit awkward because those 2 Rep-X shots have to go into the one broadside, and you still have your other 2 up. So, it's activation locking at its finest. So I think solo broadsides could be a play, and I highly suggest folks at least try them out and see how they feel. I think it'll showcase the new mechanics of the army rule really, really well. And then last but not least is the Stormsurge. So there's no denying that the Stormsurge gained a lot of efficiency within this latest change. Now, caution here is I don't personally think that the Stormsurge, the damage output is worth that 400 point price tag. However, you cannot deny that it did get a significant buff here. So effectively, it's gaining 2 ballistic skill, plus 2 on its ballistic skill, and ignores cover for 46 blast shots and 10 twin link shots. So this is really significant because now at least the Stormsurge can apply damage efficiently into both chaff units and use its big cannon to go after tough targets as well. My preferred loadout, and I think another, one of the major weaknesses that can be shored up by using a specific detachment is the fact that it doesn't have AP. So being able to get AP on those shots, I think, is really important to find success and efficiency with the Stormsurge. So the two detachments that come to my mind are Auxiliary Cadre and Mont'ka, where they both have easy access to extra AP. And then in Mont'ka specifically, you're getting Assault, you're getting access to the Scout move with the enhancement, Strike Swiftly, and then -1 damage in shooting, which helps it stay on the table even longer. That's going to do it for today's video, guys. Really appreciate you checking out. The best way to support me is to check out the Patreon down below. This week, we're doing a breakdown of one of our channel's patrons Tournament City is coming up, so we're going through his entire tournament pack and helping build him a list. We're bringing the Patreon subscribers along for the ride. If you're enjoying if you're enjoying this content and you want to see more content from me, I also upload every TTS game that I play on there as well. So if you want to see the list that I'm tinkering with, how I'm playing them, and the new army mechanic in action, then I highly suggest checking that out. But that's going to do it for today's video, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.